Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen over with comic Caitlin McKee. Caitlin McKee, how the hell are you?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you.
Oh, good. So good to hear it. Thank you so much because you're making us laugh with your characters, etc. At Instagram. You are Caitlin M. Cares because, of course, you care.
So much. Yeah, telling my voice, I really, really care.
Do you also have housewivesofbadteeth.tumblr.com? What is that?
Oh yeah, that's my that's where I post all my like character videos. I just created my own sketch. You know how all these like sketch groups like The State or like Broken Lizard, and they have their
Yeah.
own kind of like cool and title, but it's like an ensemble. So I just did that with myself. I I'm like, well, I can just create my own sketch group with myself because I'm quite antisocial. So it works better.
How many
And
characters appear in that sketch troupe then?
it's a revolving cast. It's expanding and shrinking based on my energy and output. No, I don't know. I think I have no idea. I think there's about 5 now. But the Housewives of Bad Teeth became because do you watch reality TV? Do you watch The Real Housewives? Probably. Like, have you ever seen
Oh, no, yeah. So I always get it secondhand through my former comedian guests are always tweeting about it. And so I kind of learn what the fuck it is through their tweets.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think it's either yes, you know it, or you don't. I'm not saying you should or not, but it's totally fine. Like it's just a fact. Yes, I watch it. No, I don't. But yeah, I started to watch that series like one of the darkest times of my life. I was like, now I just need to watch awful people argue. So I watched The Housewives, and I just wanted to imitate the opening of The Housewives, where they all kind of turn around cheesily and like holding an object. And I just thought it'd be funny if they turned around and all smiled with like horrible teeth. So that's where it came from.
So how do you film, like, if you're a one person sketch troupe, how are you filming things where there's several characters in the scene at the same time? Like, I suppose like you would have to almost have different cuts. Like you couldn't appear 5 times with bad teeth turning around at the same time. You would have to kind of flash to each character turning around with bad teeth.
Yes, I only have one mouth. So I
full of bad teeth, only one though.
I do have bad teeth. My dentist growing up was named Dr. Sexton. I have bad teeth. Really terrifying.
Ton of sex going on there. Like, I have perfect teeth, but then they started to kind of spread apart. I guess your mouth is like a rubber band, and so if you don't keep a retainer in or some shit, even your perfect teeth, thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, or how much ever they spent back in the day, is just all for naught. I got to start going get it like an adult nighttime retainer or some shit.
Yes, see Dr. Sexton. He had a stroke and his hand would shake, but my mother would not take us to another dentist. It was terrifying. Anyway.
Why? Because that was the family dentist, or what?
Yeah, it was like small town. There's 2 dentists, and we went to Dr. Sexton, who survived a stroke and had like a creepy last name, whatever.
Because the other guy was close to death too.
He was probably there's probably like a nice new dentist, and my mother just refused to change. Like God forbid they change a thing. Like, we'll go to the guy. He survived the stroke. Okay, he's the survivor. He doesn't have a shaky hand. No.
I don't trust the other guy. But yeah, so you did the turnaround thing with the bad teeth, and so that was kind of your impetus for naming your troupe what you did.
Yeah, and then I filmed multiple characters. I use a green screen in my kitchen, and then I don't have Final Cut Pro. I'm very cheap. I only use like the free software that comes with my Mac, and I found the way to get around like using multiple green screens to create an image by just constantly exporting and importing green screens through iMovie. I had to like go through the web and like watch so many tutorials by like 15-year-old, like 11 to 15-year-old teenagers, and I was like, I'm gonna get a knock on the door soon, being like, what are you doing? But eventually I found like some 15-year-old boy who like gave the tutorial of how to do this. So very, very appreciated for the youth culture.
Just like Dr. Sexton, you're just relying on the best minds in the business. And so can you put yourself on the green screen then? And so that's how you can appear twice. Like, you can upload, film yourself once, put that to the green screen, and then appear next to yourself.
Yeah, like, so film myself again. Like, if I'm like, I'm gonna be to the left here, and then I'll do a green screen with me to the right, and then I'll I'll export both of those, import them, and then layer them on top of each other. So that creates one green screen, if that makes sense. So you
Yeah.
can
So
use
did you get
multiple.
yourself 5 times in one shot then? Turning around with
Yeah.
your bad mouth?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's how she does it. That's how the genius works. And so yeah,
Oh,
some of your characters are hilarious. Like I love the fact that you will do your stand-up, like you go around to celebrities' homes and you'll
yeah.
actually see like Sarah Jessica Parker in her doorway and you're like riffing to her face because she's on a green screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's,
love it. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
That's been
how
so
do your
fun.
voices differ? So how do you pick the voice for comedian Rob Redford
Oh my God.
Crashaw? How do you say it?
Yeah, it's basically like my alter ego as a stand-up comedian, as a male, basically, kind of, because his name is Rob Redford Crashow, and so it's basically like Robert Redford, the actor, but
Yeah.
like, and his last name Crashow, it comes from, the whole voice comes from, I'm obsessed with classic rock radio. Like I listen to Q1043 here in New York, like all the time. And there's this one radio DJ who I became obsessed with. His name is Ken Dashow. And he has this like kind of, New Yorky, like radio voice where he talks very low, very slow, very passionate though. And he goes up, he gets very passionate. And I love him because he, like when promoting, like he'll talk about the music, he obviously loves classic rock, but then he'll be like, all right, that was the Beatles. We got more Beatles coming up, but I want to talk to you today about something near and dear to my heart, and that is something that's helped me with my confidence, with my dating life, and it's Hair Club for Men. Back in 1983, I was divorced. Like he'll just like go into these long anecdotes about these commercial products, and I'm like, I think that's really where his passion lies.
And are these sponsors, or do you think he's not even getting paid by the
Oh
men's
no,
club, or whatever?
they're definitely sponsors, because then
Okay.
you'll hear like other radio DJs do the ad spots, and they'll just be
Yeah.
like, they'll be like, all right, that was the Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper, and check out Hair Club for Men, great product. We got a promotion, check it out, and it's like he really ups the game for an ad spot. He
Yes.
really delivered. So I think that made him stand out. And then so I started to do him in my stand up, and then like this character. And instead I changed Dash Out to Crash Out, whatever. Not really hiding it, probably not a smart thing. Can never, whatever. But
He can't be litigious. Come on.
right, yeah, thank you. Gonna
Yeah.
pretend that I know. I'm gonna pretend that I know what litigious is, and I'm not gonna look it up later. I'm like, yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
He's not gonna sue your ass. Like this is very near and dear to my heart. My own voice, my own likeness. You
Oh
can't
my
be using
God.
my own voice and likeness.
If Ken Dashow ever sued me, it would be the greatest moment
Yeah.
of my life. It would be a thrill ride. Wow. I'd be so flattered. I'd be like, anyway, he'll never.
I would need to see him on the green screen and then you doing like a court correspondence, like talking to him. That'd be so great.
I know, I'd be like, talk about Hair Club for Men. You're under oath. You're under oath. Do it. Yeah, I don't know. But then, anyway, so then I did like I feel like I'm trying to figure out stand up to character videos. You know what I mean? Like that's something I'm like straight up stand up versus act out in stand up is something, and then you do a character in stand up, that's another thing. But now I'm trying to make a character video, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about all these things, and then also the pandemic hit, and stand up changed the way people do stand up. I feel like online mics are very, very hard, and you just don't get the same read or the
Yeah.
same feeling, like, or I don't know, it just leaves me feeling like even worse kind of than I did before, like, because I feel like if do you do a lot of open mics, like did you do a lot of open mics?
Well, I'm not really a comic, but I did a couple open
Okay.
mics, and that just destroyed me. Like I had a good audience in Chicago, and I killed. And then I moved to New York, and there was no audience. There was a couple comics looking down at their phone, and I was like, I cannot do this for a living. I can't do 3 mics a night in New York City.
I know it's rough,
Yeah.
but sadly, I feel like online mics are darker,
Yeah.
because now you're doing like, instead of just like a person not listening to you, it's like their likeness is not listening or whatever. And then like I was doing this online mic, and I felt like I was being vulnerable, like trying new material online, like to help me. And
Yeah.
so I'm doing it, and I feel like I'm being vulnerable. I'm talking about my brother, and there's about like 10 other comedians in the Zoom squares, and I was like, hey, can you guys hear me? And they all just gave me the hand up and down, like kind of, not really. So I just been like, it just made me feel like I can't do this. So I
What
started to
was it?
do.
Were you breaking up? I mean, was Zoom kind
Oh,
of
my
chopping
brother.
out your voice?
Oh no, my
Like
brother.
how
Oh,
come they couldn't hear you?
It was the audio problem. It was like I was in a bad Wi-Fi spot in my apartment, and
Oh,
they
that
couldn't hear me.
sucks. That
Yeah, and I
blows.
was I was just kind of like, this is even worse than most of the comics in the room being on Tinder when I'm talking on stage. Like this is worse. So I took the character Ken Dashow, which I was doing in my stand-up, and I made his brother Rob Redford Crashow, and he's the stand-up. So now I basically do a lot of my material that I would be doing at open mics in this that I would be trying out. I just do it as this character
Good.
as a way to kind of like then when because I don't know what stand-up's gonna be. Like I don't know if this is it now, it's just online. Is it coming back, indoors? I just don't know. So in the meantime, I'm kind of still trying to write
Yeah.
like material, and so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to do it as a character, which I find like very satisfying. But
Yeah, I love it because then you can tweak
anyway,
the celebrity's response. Like you can edit it
yeah.
such that their response really is it's responding appropriately to your joke, and so that's cool too. Because like I'm ultimately I think going to do a daily monologue where I solicit jokes. I'm going to pay for jokes from my couple hundred guests. So I'm actually going to solicit jokes, make it clear that I didn't write a single one of these fucking things, but then do it daily and just do monologue jokes. But I'm going to pipe in the crowd audience. I'm going to have a band leader, like I have a guitarist who's going
Yeah.
to do it. And so like to be able to know that I can tell like a funny joke that somebody else wrote and then pipe in applause, it's just great because you're going to deliver it with a little bit more confidence than you would if you had 10 people on your Zoom mic or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and just like I love that you're doing that. You're playing. Like I feel like that's such a good opportunity that like this online comedy, like there's so much to play with now in stand up when you're making it a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to just like you doing like you said, like you're gonna have other people write it. You're gonna play with the response. I think that's so much more interesting than just people posting videos of them performing stand up at an outdoor show. I don't know why, but I
Yeah.
do. I just think it's like if you're gonna make stand up into a I don't know. I just think that's interesting to play with it in the video form. Like,
It should be joyful a little bit. And that's what all
yeah.
your characters seem to have in common. Like you also did Lana Del Rey. Like where did she, I know where
Oh
she
my
arose
God.
from, but yeah, how did Lana Del Rey turn from a left winger into a right winger through Lana Del Rey?
Oh yeah. I think I was like it was right when all the stuff with all the abortion when Trump's administration when all those like it was like every day you'd hear another state completely banned abortion. Like it was getting crazy. I don't remember when that was. It was like so dark that I'm like I don't know when that awful thing was, but good Lord. When I don't know when our liberties started to be taken away that much. When we
Probably
can
2016. Yeah, so
probably
all the states started getting bolder
yeah
because he nominated Gorsuch, etc.
yeah, and so it was like like I was like, how do I talk about all this crap that's going on? Yeah, in a way that's not so just me saying like this sucks and I disagree. I disagree. Like it's so boring. Like I feel like
Yeah,
that's all people are online doing, being like, I agree with this and I disagree with this. And
and
it's just
that's
like,
why you're not on Twitter. It makes perfect sense.
yes, I can't take it. I don't know how people are on Twitter and they're not just walking around being like, I hate you. I
Oh,
like you. I hate you. I
it is
like you.
amazing. It is so amazing to see these people. They're so hilarious. Like there was a couple of female comedians who had some death threats going on, and then you saw the Twitter comms got they're like, we will remove any post that threatens death or whatever, and they're like, where were you back in the day when I was being threatened? But so I didn't retweet those. Like I hope Trump dies. Like I didn't retweet any of those, but there was about 4,000 different angles on this thing that were still fucking hilarious. And even Chrissy Mayer, she's a little bit right wing, I think, and she always toys with the QAnon audience, I think, because she's compound media, and I think maybe their audience might be a little bit QAnon. And so I was like, how is she going to deal with this whole John Legend, Chrissy Teigen baby miscarriage? And I was like, she's not going to handle this well. Like she's going to say that these people ate their baby or something. But sure enough, Chrissy Teigen overplayed her hand and did the whole fucking photo shoot after the miscarriage. And so then Chrissy Mayer made a personal. She was like, "Yeah, my mom had two miscarriages, and she did it the old-fashioned way. She didn't have a professional photo shoot or something like that." And I was like, "Good job, Chrissy Mayer. You found a way to kind of." And so, like, all the best comedians are finding new angles, but I could see if somebody is just kind of lacking joy in their lives, it can't add joy to your life at all. And so,
No.
doing characters is probably a funner way to fill up your time.
Yeah, and it just gives you freedom in the way you want to talk about those issues. Like, yeah, it's like she had to wait until she found the angle. It's like just waiting until like, oh, I can take it. I can take that door. I can go in that way.
Yes,
So
you're
I feel like
inventing those things by inventing new characters.
yeah, and it's yes. So That's where she comes from. And also, I was thinking of Lana Del Rey. Like at the time, I was listening to a lot of Lana Del Rey. I love Lana Del Rey, and I was just thinking along those lines of where everything hate has become taste almost now. Like
Right.
the way, like I hate this, and that's my like that's your identity online, and now how did and everyone knows how to market to you because of your hate. You know what I mean? Or you
Yeah.
don't or you don't hate you're over here and you don't hate, so here's how we market to you. You find like you get all these you get these pop-up ads and you get these pop-up ads. It's just so arbitrary. It's like it's commercialized. It's as much as being like I like this is my it just seems so arbitrary and like caught up in taste. So that's why I don't know why that's how I weaved on a like almost music taste. Like I could just I don't know why that's what I was thinking, but
Yeah, even
yeah.
Chrissy Mara said something like that. Her tweet was, imagine that hating the president was your entire personality.
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
wow, you guys are exactly on the same page. It's so funny you probably never met.
I know. I know. Yeah. I mean, I've seen her around. I know
Right.
who she is. She's great. Yeah.
But you guys are on the
But
same wavelength. It's so, but you know, then of course on the other side, they've been hating Obama for 8 years, and so. But you're right that the polarization dovetails nicely with the whole need to have Facebook ads targeted to your data.
it just seems like yeah, like that we're all so stupid. We're all just like feuding this like hating Trump is like you're just feeding the I don't know. It just seems also I don't know. And then I start to think about it that way and then I get overwhelmed. So I'm like I just have to do a character. I can't even articulate it because I feel like I get too up in my head about it. But
But that's what's
um,
cool. So, I mean, so you invented her though, and so how is that cathartic? Like, what comes out of Lana Del Rey's mouth that makes you kind of feel better? Is it satire or?
yeah, well, I think what I like about her is she mimics the crazy of all these people. Like I think in one of my videos with the mask video, like I put her in with because now with green screen I can put you could put them anywhere
Right.
with video in another video. So I put her in a video of this woman giving a crazy speech about how Fauci was part of the Jesuit conspiracy against all
Yes.
of like all of these. So I like to put her in front of crazy people and then but crazy is so normalized now, like crazy in terms of politics, like political views is completely normalized. I feel like saying crazy, like the Clorox thing, like our president is like no, Clorox will kill COVID, and that is completely that is completely nuts. But it's people are like no, it's okay, he was wrong, but it's okay. Like crazy is completely normalized. So I like to put her next to crazy people, and like I know it's crazy, but then putting her next to a crazy person, she blends right in. So I feel like it's like trying to like but I put face tattoos on her so I feel like she's extra crazy but then next to a crazy person it's like how far away is Lana Del Rey from this exact person talking like
So,
she's not
what would the interplay be like if you had Trump on a green screen in back of Lana Del Rey talking about injecting bleach? How would Lana
oh,
Del Rey play off of that?
oh she would completely agree she would probably just be like I'm taking time she's I always do her taking time out of something like ridiculous like the last thing to address her Instagram followers like the last thing I had her saying like I'm taking time out of one of my favorite activities, which is returning shampoo to the Bed Bath and Beyond as my distressed denim face mask dips well below my nose and I breathe air out of my nostrils like a fire-breathing dragon. To address our president, who I support wholeheartedly, and then she would go into a monologue about why she supports him, and then
Right.
that also would be somehow tied to her belief that she's married to Jesus Christ in other lifetimes, particularly the time that they ruled together over the dinosaur era. That's usually what it is.
How did
And
she become country though?
I don't know. I just like doing the crazy Southern accent, and also I
Okay.
mean, it's probably like a stereo. It's a hard. I guess it's a stereotype that. I think it's also because I like David Cross a lot, like, and he did a Southern accent anytime he did crazy, so it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
something. It's probably like a leftover from David Cross, or I don't know. She's just Southern, I guess. It's
It,
yeah.
have you seen any of the what Mia Faith Hammond characters? Because she does a little bit like the Crash Out thing. I think she also does male characters occasionally,
Oh
and some
yeah.
of them have that slow New York accent. And she's also just crazy absurd.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah,
you kind of seen any of her videos or played
I
with
have.
her on stage?
I love Mia. I love Mia Faith Hammond. She's such a good joke writer, and she has such a good delivery. She's so I like watching her anytime I see her around. I
I'd
really
love to
like
see
her.
you guys in videos together, and I guess that leads to the next question, which is, if you're a loner and you hate people, it's like, how are you cross-pollinating? Like, I mean, I guess, you did stand up back in the day, and of course you still will, and you still are to a certain extent. Like, how can an online character kind of sketch troupe, play well with others such that you're trying to capture each other's audiences for absurd comedy?
I don't know. I don't even think I think of it like that. Like that's so far ahead. I think, and I literally like I really like this. I can't even think. Yeah, I think that's you're too smart and maybe I'm not a careerist at all.
Oh,
Like
there you go.
I am not a careerist at all, to a fault, definitely. Like I don't think I'll ever. Yeah, I just do it because I like doing it. That's it. So also, Agnes Martin. She's a painter, and I work in an art museum by day. Like I always look to like other art forms for whatever. And she has like, I mean, Agnes Martin. Do you know her? She's like an abstract painter, like a very anyway. She makes very simple abstract paintings, but her writings about her paintings are completely scattered. Like they're all over the place.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I'm
very
seeing her art right now. So she's able to write about this shit? It's
no,
so
no.
minimalist.
Exactly, and it's minimalist, and it's all about her whole objective was to create something, completely turn her back to the world and create paintings that existed purely in her mind. So like a lot of her paintings are abstract, and she's saying they're actually expressions of joy, and she's meditating on what pure happiness means and what pure enthusiasm means. But she turned her back to the world, so she's a loner, but she's making work about pure, happiness and like joy. And but also she had a quote in but her writings are completely all over the place. Like it's very hard to get to because she really doesn't trust language, as it's written. She thinks as soon as you say something, it's abstracted, it's taken over by context in the world, and it's like, meaningless kind of, or it's not her meaning. It's not hers anymore. It's kind of
Yeah,
anyway.
it's cut with the reader's meaning, as Bill Burr would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. But anyway, she has this thing about art that I always use. It's the only thing an artist has to be concerned with is what to do next. And I think
Yeah.
that's like it's really helped me, especially not get overwhelmed like with like because if I start thinking of like, oh, how do I market this, then I stop doing it. I'm done. In my mind, I'm done. I'm like, oh, I don't. Yeah, So I have to be interested in it, and I have to just be like, what's interesting about what I just did? What's not interesting, and what do I want to do next? Like that's how I operate. So I'm terrible. I'll never be successful. I'll probably die working in an art museum, but I've made my peace with it.
Dude,
I
yeah,
have.
you just got to get with that way too zesty crew in. I think it's out of Florida. Adam Christopher and Charlie Dawson and Mia Faith Hammond, because they're just as absurd. And so have somebody else in your crew who could worry about the marketing aspect. It's like then we can ensure that Caitlin McKee just kind of takes over the world of absurd ass comedy. And it's so funny. You're like, it's so smart. I don't worry about that. It's like you're the one bringing up Agnes Martin's smarty pants.
No, I know. I mean, well, I went to art. Like I went to. I'm not a. Yeah, no. I went to art school a little bit,
Okay.
so I feel like that's where I'm not like I can't be like Agnes Martin, but let's divert to astrophysicists. I also have my favorite astrophysicist who always helps me. Like no, it's just like this one thing I know about. But
It's like I had an Agnes Martin quote that I liked, and I've referenced David Cross, so we can tell where Caitlin McKee is at,
oh
and so we
yeah.
can follow you all. I mean, this Tumblr thing. So Tumblr is an old platform, but you're just constantly updating this thing. Like, what's the advantage of having a Tumblr? Is it relatively free, and is it still serviced? I mean, can people still
Free.
use this and post all the time?
Oh yeah, it's free. It's free. That's why I use it. Yeah, I'm cheap. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like who cares if people like I can put my stuff there. It looks fine. You can
Yeah.
find. It's just like a way like, if people use Instagram, this is where you can find my. And also, I think I'm cheap. It's free, and I kind of like that it's old and weird. Like, what do I? Oh, I need to get a Squarespace because everybody has a Squarespace. Like, whatever. Like,
A
there's
Wix site? No,
cares.
Caitlin McKee belongs on something like Tumblr. She's the one who makes Tumblr what it is.
No, I think porn makes Tumblr what it is. I think that's what's kept Tumblr alive. Is it became like borderline porno. Really,
Yes.
that's it. So all the more reason why I'm sticking with Tumblr.
But see, you just have to make the crossover. Like, I really think Caitlin McKee has a porn character in here,
Oh,
like in her, such that like some absurd shit can come out of a porn character that you create. When is that?
I
You
don't
only have
know.
to concern yourself with what's next. So I'm waiting for that next hilarious
Research,
porn character.
porn research. Now I just have to do what's next for me. porn research.
I love that.
Hardcore research.
Yes, my Pornhub subscription is now a write-off because Brian Koppen brought it up during an interview. So yeah, it's like with this podcast. It's like, yeah, a lot of people listen to it, but even if they didn't, it's like I'm just doing it because I want to and because I want to talk with hilarious people like Caitlin McKee.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and all the listeners, they can check her out. She's Caitlin M Cares because of course she gives a shit. So Caitlin McKee, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. I hope I get to talk to you more. It was great.